Welcome to Geek Speak with your hosts, Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughran. Today's special guests are from Peeve Police, Sarah Delpizzo, Melissa Graver, and PJ Germain. Hello, everybody. This is Meredith Loughran with my co-host Matthew Harris, and we are Geek Speak. This is sponsored by geekinsider.com, and today we have some special guests. We have three special guests from Peeve Police. Our special guests include Sarah Delpizzo, and forgive me if I massacred your name because I'm thinking pizza like pizza, but Sarah Delpizzo, Melissa Graver. Is she laughing at me on the bottom?
No, she gave you the thumbs up. She gave you the thumbs up. So you're good.
Right. And we have PJ Germain. So let me do that again. We have special guests Sarah Delpizzo, Melissa Graver, and PJ Germain. The Peeve Police is a comedy series about two women who are fed up with rude, inconsiderate douches in the world. Yeah, I said douches. We're adults here. So the officers Forva and Peeple are taking matters into their own hands and becoming vigilantes in the process. And they are doing it with humor, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And they're launching very soon, aren't they? So we had a little bit of a preview.
Yep, it's next week.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start bringing them in so we can bring them around, and we're going to have a great conversation with them.
And I will start bringing them in. Sorry.
All right. Don't fall asleep on me, Matthew.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hey. Hello. So I hope I didn't massacre your name. I see the double Z because I'm a singer, and I see the double Z, and I'm thinking, the t sound, pizza.
No, you're exactly right. And whenever I have to say my name over the phone, I say like pizza, but with an O. So you're good.
So let's just start with you, Sarah. Introduce yourself and who you are, who you play, and what your pet peeve is, your worst pet peeve.
Okay, well, I am Sarah Delpizzo, and I am one of the creators of the show, as well as a writer, producer, and the star. My character's name is Gertie Forva. I also go by Officer Forva. And my personal biggest pet peeve, there's just so many, which is why we created the series. But I would say when you're driving and you let someone merge into your lane and they don't give you the wave, or even when you hold the door open for someone and they don't say thank you, I want to slam the door back in their face.
I had that exact one down as my pet peeve, and I forgot about the wave. I'm from Texas, and that is just, you give the wave, and I don't care if you're female or male. If I hold the door open for you and you don't say yes, I hold it back open and I will yell, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
And then walk away. But you done stole my thunder. But PJ,
I say, or you could say, "Excuse me." That's like my signature line when they don't.
Yeah, Melissa definitely calls people out for that one.
Yep.
And PJ, introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're doing with the show and what your pet peeve is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm PJ Germain. I am the director of the series. I guess, I also did some editing and, just sort of all around filmmaker of the entire series so far. But yeah, I mean, I think my biggest pet peeve, Sarah took one of mine, but it's basically when somebody's making a left turn, but they do it really slowly. And you're trying to go straight and they're just taking their time, turning. You're like, wait, why are you doing that? But that, and then, one of the things that we have in the show is the people just not curbing their dog. I just moved into a house and people are doing that all in front of my house because they're walking, because everyone's, stay at home for COVID. So they're just walking their dogs and they're just dog crap everywhere. It's really nauseating.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Melissa, how about you?
Yeah.
Hi. Okay, I'm Melissa Graver, aka Consuela, aka Cons, aka Officer Peeple. I've got many names. Yes, and I, along with Sarah, we co-creator, co-wrote, co-produced, co-star. We are the series leads, all that fun stuff of the Pet Peeve Police. And I have a few pet peeves, as everyone. I'm always like, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, and my friends are like, you say that a lot. I'm like, yeah. But really, the one that really grinds my gears, as we like to say, is I can't stand unnecessary fees, like bank fees in particular. They're like maintenance fees, and I'm like, what are you maintaining? You're using my money. Like, what? I don't understand. So I get so angry about this. Like, I won't go to an ATM that isn't like Chase Bank if I'm going to Chase Bank, unless it's like dire straits. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Meredith, what's your biggest pet peeve?
I was watching one of the trailers and I saw where the car was parked really close together so you couldn't get into the driver's side. And I'm like, damn it, I've been through that and I hate it. I hate it so bad. And it makes me want to have, like the Kathy Bates moment in Fried Green Tomatoes, where I'm like, Tawanda! I just want to do that. I do that in my head. So I saw that and I'm like, yeah, dead on right there.
And that instance was really kind of the end of a culmination of just a really crappy day.
Yeah.
And, just of really douchebags, like you girls say in there, it's just a lot of douchebags and inconsiderate people. You two, you play roommates. You've been great friends since childhood, and after that crappy day, y'all get to relaxing with a glass of wine, and you're watching the news. And there was one line that just really stuck out to me. You guys hear about a bad case of malicious fecal distribution. And I won't give anything else away, folks. This does premiere next week on the 20th on the petpeevepolice.com. And it is funny.
The mad pooper. That's all I'm saying.
The
mad pooper.
And so they have this really crappy day and they decide to do something about it. And there's some events that happen. I really see, this, I just was only able to see the pilot this time, guys. I didn't get to see a bunch of episodes or, several episodes that they're holding them close to the vest. But I liked what I saw. And it's like, everybody here said I've got several pet peeves, and there are multiple ones covered in this pilot episode. And every time you're going, yeah, I hate that. Oh, I hate that too. Oh, yes. I hope they get theirs. And so now, when we hear there's vigilantes and we know there's a sensei in the midst somewhere and there's all kinds of stuff that's planned for the season. Well, let me back up here because I don't want to reveal too much about the pilot episode. But I know that Sarah, you and PJ, y'all both went to and if I could find my
Hofstra.
Yes.
Yes.
We went to college together. That's where we met. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And then how did Melissa, how did you all meet? I mean, how did the trio come together?
I got into Hofstra also, and my boyfriend went to Hofstra, so that's a really funny. Like when I learned that about them, I was like, "That's so weird." And
you're also an East Coaster from New York, so we were all in the same area at the same time, but it just took Melissa and I think, almost a decade to meet.
Yeah, and Sarah and I have the same birthday, which is even more crazy.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so all three of y'all started in New York, transplanted to the West Coast to LA to chase your dreams, and then it just kind of all came together. And I know you two have worked together on some other projects, and this was kind of y'all's baby. And it's taken a little bit to get to fruition. You guys got a lot of good buzz a couple of years ago, and then it's really come to fruition. And I have to tell you guys, we get to see quite a few screeners and shows that are up and coming. The production on this, the actual overall quality is very nice. It is
Thank you.
well
Thank you.
shot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is very well shot. I loved the script. It kind of reminds me of the old school. Well, I don't want to say Super Troopers too much, that kind of thing, but it is kind of
Hardcore inspiration.
yeah, it's that kind of comedy, and there's things that are said and you take it because it's real. It's not, somebody that's living a fantasy life with a beautiful family. You two girls encounter. If I walked out the door and stepped in what you stepped in, I'm going back inside and I'm calling in sick. I'm just not even going in, especially after the coffee was gone, because Gertie is just
She was being such a douche.
Yes.
Best roommate ever.
Tom's had her moments. I mean, that we say that the series, comedy-wise, is very much like Reno 911 meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because it has that slapstick, Reno 911 kind of sometimes dry wit, sometimes over-the-top humor, while also having this comic book fantasy element that we get into later in the first season. But, grounding it in reality as well was something that Melissa and PJ really brought to the plate when he came on as director, because he was like, I really love their relationship. And, I think what's so interesting too is everybody goes through their days and they're put off by something, right? Like very rarely do you have a day where someone doesn't do something that's like semi-obnoxious, right? So that was so relatable. But we're kind of taught, don't get into it with a stranger, and it's not the end of the world, like let it go. And to have, these two women kind of step in place for you and kind of tell your grievances, we thought was a pretty great way to kind of ease the tension on some really obnoxious things that are happening in society.
Yeah, that was our whole thing. It was like, we want, instead of being like, nobody likes being called out, right? And being like, you do better, you did this. But we figured like, if we could do it in a funny way, it would be better received and maybe it would make people think twice. So although it's a comedy, we really want to talk about, serious matters and things like that are affecting society. Like the Mad Pooper really did happen. And a lot of these, pet peeves really happened to us. And then, everything that was going on with gender neutral bathrooms, and then, sexual harassment in the workplace. So Sarah, PJ, and I have a really strong connection to pop culture. And so we put in piecemeal in all the episodes, like some pop culture references, because we really wanted to make it interactive and kind of do an ode to our childhoods, And so this this series, I think it means a lot to all of us for so many different reasons. And while it's fun, it's serious, and we're trying to think outside the box. So it's like, how can, and people are important, and people have so many pet peeves. It's like, we want to hear them. We want people to relate, and we want people also have fun watching it and trying to figure out like, oh, that's from that. Oh my God, I can't believe that. And if they can find them or not,
Well, I've got one that it has to be in. If it's not the first season, it's got to come the second. And that, as a disabled man, you get somebody that parks in the handicap parking and they get out and sprint to the front of the store.
Oh yeah.
Y'all need to kneecap those guys. I mean, I know we don't get into violence and stuff, but they need some kind of retribution. But anyway, the show, this was the first that I'd heard about it. Sarah, you wrote to me, and then we kind of connected at that point. And then I went and I looked at the website and I watched the trailers, and that got my interest. And then I watched the sneak peek, the insider first episode that premieres this next was it Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, yep.
Wednesday.
We're gonna just pop in the trailer.
Greetings, do-gooders. I'm Officer Peeple.
And I'm Officer Forva.
And we have a mission for you. We are sad to say that we've noticed an alarming increase in the amount of inconsiderate douches.
That's right. Douches are on the rise. Our mission is to remind said douches on how to be considerate human beings and to stop being inconsiderate in public.
So we are dedicating our time to serving you as the Peeve Police.
first, we need your help to help us. Help me help you.
Yes. Roll footage.
Don't you just wish that you didn't have to worry about being polite or manners and you could just tell people when they're being rude and inconsiderate?
I do. Wait, like, call people out on their shit?
But in what land would that exist? In the land of make-believe?
Just keep an eye out. Sharp, sharp, sharp.
I ate extra carrots right before we came out, so I'm good.
Carotene.
Yes. My eyes are like in the wild.
I wanted to switch to one other thing real quick. Melissa, I know you wanted to be, or I read that you wanted to be a psychologist, and that after seeing a show on Broadway, you kind of loved the passion and you started moving into acting. But one thing that really jumped out to me is because Meredith and I, we have several different shows, and one that we like to focus on is those that are really focusing on empowering women. And I saw that someday you hope to have a production company where you can create more, leading meaningful roles for women in the entertainment industry.
Right.
But I also saw, on top of that you love scuba diving and that you've been all over the world. Where was your most favorite place to scuba dive?
We'll be back right after this quick break. For Geek Insider advertising opportunities, contact advertising@geekinsider.com. We offer space on the website, in the daily newsletter, sponsored posts, and advertising space on our podcast. For details, contact advertising@geekinsider.com.
Where was your most favorite place to scuba dive?
Most favorite place to scuba dive was in Puerto Rico. I'm not exaggerating. I saw a starfish that was as big as my like, let's call it wingspan. If you cut off my hands to my knees.
Wow.
Swear to God, no exaggeration. And then on top of that, there was, I think it was stingray or manta ray, whichever the bigger one is. Same thing. Its wingspan was mine. And all of a sudden I looked down and I saw it was like crystal blue water. I'm wearing a half suit. Like, I've never seen more stuff underwater since that day. I saw like turtles like in masses going. It was just gorgeous. And all of a sudden I saw the sand moving and I'm like, what's that? And all of a sudden this manta ray, stingray that's humongous comes up, and it was like I was done. After that, that was my first time ever scuba diving. And since then I've been in Thailand and some other really cool places. But that still is the best. And I'm actually this year we're going, hopefully, I'm going to Egypt and diving in the Red Sea. That's the goal with some friends.
Cool. So, yeah, that's what I was wondering, because it said you like diving in exotic places, and you really have hit some places. Sarah, you got any cool hobbies? Your bio didn't mention any.
No, scuba diving terrifies me. I do like certain thrills, like I've been skydiving and things like that, but for some reason, I love swimming, but going deep down into the ocean there's like something really terrifying. So when Melissa first told me she was going to do that, I'm like, Godspeed. I'll meet you on the sand. I mean, for me right now, like a lot of my biggest hobbies, I grew up as a dancer. So I still take dance classes. I did like a big performance. That was like a nationwide peace event. It'll be almost 2 years ago this September, which was a really amazing time. And I'm newly mom, so I became a mom 2 months ago. And so that's, I don't really have hobbies at the moment. My hobbies are like sleeping when I can.
Exactly.
All my hobbies were pre-baby, and it was like horseback riding, dance, and
Sleeping is definitely a hobby of yours, Sarah, too. That's like one of her favorite things. She loves it.
Do what?
Sleeping.
I love sleeping.
In general, yeah.
I mean, like when Melissa, I'm much more of a morning person than I ever was a late night, and Melissa's the opposite. So when we would talk about, I'd be like, no, you can't call me after 9 o'clock. Like I'm getting ready for bed.
My juices are going.
PJ, how about you?
PJ, I saw that you worked post-production on Avatar. And
I
so-
did.
Now, wait a minute, I want to hear about his hobby. Hold on a second.
well, I am. That's what I was going to get into. You know, one, how was that experience working on such a groundbreaking movie? And then, when you're not busy filmmaking, what are your hobbies?
Avatar was an interesting experience. I worked on it after they had actually made the film, so it was like they were going through they had like, I want to say it was good to 1,000 hours worth of behind the scenes footage that was shot over the course of like 7 years, because they started that in 1996 actually. And so a friend of mine and me, we would basically be at the production company's like offices, and we're just going through all these tapes and basically putting together what would end up being the like director's cut re-release that came out a year after it was initially released. And so it was interesting just seeing how basically the evolution of like when they started making the film to when it actually was really being put together, you know, the technological advances that they were able to overcome from 96 to 2004 essentially.
Right.
But it was one of my first bigger jobs when I moved to LA, because I moved in 2009, I think. It was about, and I got that job a year later. So my first year in LA, just trying to figure out the landscape, and then I got that job and worked at Lightstorm for a few weeks, and you know, it was a night shift job, so we were in the building by ourselves with nobody around, in James Cameron's office, and like it was very interesting, you know, just kind of being able to just walk around that place and just know that like Terminator came out of there, Terminator 2, you know, The Abyss, you know.
I imagine the office chair races too.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was night jobs. I don't really like doing those, but you know, that specific period of time, that was like a really great experience. So.
Are you looking forward to the sequels that are coming eventually?
You know, I tried to put it in the back of my mind, but then today I happened to read an article about the underwater motion capture stuff that they were doing, and I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. You know, I wasn't sure what else could be done. I mean, we've done filming, like the whole entire film industry has like changed dramatically in terms of technology and like things that can be accomplished now. So when that came out, that was like the first of its kind. So since then, we've seen tons of films like that have just, you know, fully CG characters, you know, CG environments, but now it's like they're doing this underwater with real water, and that's kind of crazy, you know. So I'm excited about that, to see what new advances. Yeah.
Now, and what's your side hobbies when you're not filmmaking and working?
When I was younger, I played a lot of music. I was a drummer for pretty much my whole life. I still play. Play guitar, so my guitars are back there. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times I've been spending, you know, my hobbies are just playing music a lot. You know, I spend 90% of my time working or doing something filmmaking related, but when I do have free time, it's either music or I play a lot of video games. That's just, you know, I try to stay a kid at heart, because if you don't stay a kid as a filmmaker, you sort of lose touch of why you did it. So, you know, it may be kind of boring, but
no, not at all.
No, not at all. I actually wanted to circle back to Peeve Police, because I want to be, I want to kind of be the fly on the wall and understand how this project came together. I mean, was it kind of a gathering of, you know, the 2 or 3 of you that sat down and maybe over a bottle of wine, and you were like, let's do this? I mean, what was the genesis of this project?
I feel like it morphed a couple of times, and I mean, Melissa, you can jump in too. Melissa and I, we did this other short film, which was the first project we ever did together, called Codename Toughen, which was another kind of over-the-top comedy. Yeah. And that went to some festivals, and we kind of decided through there that we worked really well together, which is hard as artists to find other people that you gel with really well creatively. So after that, we were kind of racking our brains on our next project, and I don't remember what pissed me off, quite frankly, but there's something happened where I remember just kind of thinking it would be really funny if we kind of did this almost like a hidden camera, like skit show where we call people out on their behavior. Not reality. It would still be, scripted, but it would kind of be this comedic kind of candid camera thing feel. And then from, when I told Melissa, she was on board, and then we kind of put our brains together.
I remember we were on my couch and you were irritated about something, and you're like, oh, that made me think about like inconsideration or something. Like it's been a few years now, so the exact of it, but and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm into that because I get irritated about all sorts of shit in consideration. But it started off more sketch-like, and I did a class like creating your own content, and I thought it was a really good catalyst for Sarah and I to get the pilot episode going. And some people in that class were like, I really think like kind of what Sarah was saying earlier about like the relationship, and that's what these people were saying. They're like, it's so interesting, but like I want to know more about the two of them. Like, what about the two of them? And then PJ, when he came on, it was the same thing. So it started with me and Sarah.
And then we actually filmed an original pilot that was much shorter, off our own dime. Like we spent a couple $100, like basically just on crafty and asking everyone to like give us a day of their time.
Called favors in,
and so we did that through Melissa's class, which she said, hey, I'm in this class. Can I bring our project, and work on it, through the class? And it was really interesting because that was the first time too. People were like, I love the chemistry you two have on screen together. We want to see more of just you two doing anything. And then PJ kind of mimicked that when we asked him to really direct the first season for us. And he said, man, I love the scenes where there's a lot of heart in them with you two. And it's not, you're great at the comedy, but the heart is really what really sells it to me. And he even would, he kind of made the series go from like this small idea to being like, let's make a full-length pilot. Let's redo the original pilot, make it a full length. And let's, he's actually the one who was like, I was reading this thing about this guy in Colorado called the Mad Pooper. Can we like include this? And so that was definitely PJ's baby as far as, finding that gem as a storyline.
Equal distribution.
Yeah. Sarah and I wrote that after the fact, like, because my friend Miguel, our friend now, and all that, like, he plays Don, the guy who says all this stuff. And it was like, we're like, we got to come up with a really funny, like, interaction between Don and the reporter, like, talking about poop.
And I think that actually, if you look at the original, I mean, you could probably this guy, the Mad Pooper. Am I frozen?
Oh, you're back.
Oh,
you're good now.
You're back.
I'm good? Okay. I hope I wasn't making a funny face. So, but you could probably find the original reporter who talked about this case on the news. And I actually think he was the one who said something about the malicious fecal distribution or something. And we thought that was so like exceptional. Just like the wording of
faces. There was some woman who shot in her hand and threw it at a guy at like a coffee shop or something because he wouldn't let her go to the bathroom. Like it got like, I was like, we needed like, yes, PJ, we need to do something about this. This is crazy.
Yeah. And so was there, for the first season, how did you guys whittle down which pet peeves to include? And were there any that you really wanted to include this season, but you just couldn't, and hopefully we'll see them again?
Yeah, we have, so basically we wrote, originally, I think it was like 8 episodes or something, and then we made them longer, and then it became 6. And so we shot fully 3 episodes, and then we shot pieces of episodes 4, 5, and 6, but we didn't fully finish them because we did a crowdfunding campaign and we didn't make all of our money. But like and we're still going to, I think, maybe shoot now more of like a teaser fun stuff, like the original scripts that we did. Cause if we think about it, Sarah and I were like, these are kind of like cold opens. You know, it's like us, it was always us in character as the Pet Peeve Police, never Constance and Gertie as real people. So like, we have so much material that we still want to shoot that we have written. It just, we haven't gotten around to it for one reason. We haven't been able to. This happened, Sarah had a baby, all the things, life and work and whatever. But one of them is, another one of my lovely pet peeves is when people talk on their phone or listen to music out loud and are disrupting everybody. Yeah. So one of them was this this really funny older woman who was at a restaurant talking on her cell phone on what do you call that?
Speakerphone?
Speakerphone, thank you, Sarah.
I got you.
Thanks. And so that's a really fun one because we're from New York originally, and that always irritated me when I was on the train. But we're try to be smart filmmakers. We're how are we going to get a train? How are we going to get a train car and do that? So we're well, what else could it be? And then one of them is people at the movie theater. A lot of it's people talking on speakerphone or being really inconsiderate in public places. Movie theater was one of them. Restaurants, on hikes, on the train, stuff like that.
Although I will say my favorite one that we didn't get to shoot because of it was episode 4 and it's logistics, but we will shoot it at some point, is issues with cyclists. And how they believe that they deserve to share the road, but then they don't follow road signs and will cut people off. And listen, no, maybe I do have something against cyclists. I don't know, but I'm not even going to pretend that I don't. You want to ride on the road, fine. But until you can do the same speed limit I can, you don't take up the entire lane, or if there's a stop sign, don't go through it. And these are things that they're supposed to do. They're supposed to adhere to the rules of the road, but a lot of people don't. And it's so dangerous. So that was something that was in episode 4 that we unfortunately that didn't get to shoot. But in my mind, it's probably my favorite episode of the first season, just writing wise.
Is that the throwback to when we were kids and when we met?
I think episode 5. Well, wait, no. I'm sorry. Maybe episode 4 is the original, and then episode 5 is when we're teenagers.
Okay, yeah, because we flash back to when we met, and a lot of it's again tackling things that are meaningful to us, like bullying. So Constance and I met in the playground, and she was the nerdy, cute, cutesy, and I was kind of the by yourself type, and nobody ever bothered me. And so I saw her getting bullied for the one last time, and then I step up, and the rest is history. That's how we became friends, basically. And my original name is,
I think Matthew's got a couple of pictures of you guys.
Sorry, what?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I think Matthew's got a couple of pictures of you guys when you were younger.
Oh, God.
If you want to, I don't know if you want to.
Nice.
That's Melissa.
Oh, that's me. I'm blonde naturally.
Oh, gotta love braces and jean on jean.
And then they grow
up.
All grown up.
Badass bitches.
Now,
PJ, I have to ask. Wait a second. Let me just ask PJ because he hasn't had a chance to talk too much yet. What's it like to direct these guys? Because you all have this, effervescent personality, and I'm sure that you are very strong-willed and have a lot of opinions and things like that. What is it like to kind of direct these two and do the shots and maybe try not to laugh through the entire thing?
I mean, if you look at the raw footage, I'm laughing the entire time. So that's, cutting around everyone on set laughing the entire time was probably a big challenge, but it was really fun. And I let them sort of do their thing. I let them improv. I let them really live the character and just find what worked. And, I wasn't trying to be too controlling in any aspect, because I think we were all sort of discovering who each character was at the time, and also just sort of the tone of the show. Because it's, when you read it on paper, the tone is very, you're not sure, if how serious is it going to be, how funny is it going to be. It's sort of this mishmash of all these things that we grew up with. And so we were really discovering what the show was as we were making it, which, it's how all pilots are essentially. Right. You're figuring it all out with each other. And I think that's sort of what we did. But we shot everything sort of the first 6 episodes we tried to shoot all at once. We got 3 completely finished, and we shot the like emotional stuff for 4, 5, and 6. And we shot it all in like a very short span. And so we didn't get a chance to like just shoot the first episode and then figure out, okay, this is what the show is. Let's go and bring that into the next ones. And we were just doing it all at once, essentially. But it was really fun. You know, they each brought different qualities to their characters and had great ideas. And, you know, it's their writing. So at the same time, it's, you know, they're living out the idea that they had in their head. And I'm just there to kind of guide them and, you know, see it through to the end, essentially. So.
And I have to say, PJ was so good at that. Like, it's really hard. Sarah and I talk about like trust, and Sarah and I are very like, I think we complement each other really well, but we're also have a lot of parallels. And so I think that's why we work really well together. And we're East Coasters and doers. We do what we say we're going to do. And to trust somebody with our baby and have us not, because we wore so many hats.
Yeah.
We're like, we can't direct this. Like, our acting needs to be on point on the day. And to find PJ was such a blessing, because for it not to be his baby, it was like it was, because he got it so well. He saw what we saw, and that's so hard to find. And I'm so grateful and blessed that we found that. So completely trusted him, like with it down to his editing, and like every time he does something with it, it's like, yes, that's exactly right. That's just been magical in and of itself.
Yeah, PJ just elevated the whole series to something that Melissa and I would have loved to have, but we didn't think was within our reach based on budget and different obstacles. And I mean, from the get-go, PJ was always like, yeah, but what if? And let me see what I can do. And when it came to even being on set like that, he was so good at letting us talk things out and letting us try different things and play, but also, you know, giving us those notes as being like, well, why don't we try it this way or that? Because like that, Melissa and I were wearing so many hats, as you do with, you know, indie filmmaking. I mean, PJ was producer, he was director, he was editor. I mean, we're all wearing 10 hats on this production. That to have someone else who really respects you creatively and you feel like you're on the same wavelength is just priceless. It's priceless. And I was so excited because I had known PJ since we were, you know, like 19, 20 years old. And this was one of the first times that him and I got to really collaborate on something. Other just being, you know, crew members, since, you know, we were both filmmaker majors together. So that was really exciting for me too, to actually like use his talent and potential for something that meant so much to me. And then to have someone who I already knew I meshed with so well with in Melissa, it was just like the dream team. It was amazing.
Yeah. And Meredith and Matthew, I realized that we never really answered your question how Sarah and I met. Like, we have a mutual friend, by the way, who I guess had mentioned to both of us that I have a friend that is also in the entertainment industry. This girl is not in the entertainment industry. And she was like, I feel like you guys would be good friends. And like, I think Sarah said, yeah, to me, and she was like, yeah, cool. She's like, I have enough friends. I don't need more friends.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember our friend Karen mentioning her to me. So honestly.
Well, and it's funny because, you know, I always say it's like, you know, when you're young and you go to someone's house that you don't know and the parents are like, oh, you're both kids and you're around the same age, go play. Like, that's kind of how it felt. Like, oh, I know this other girl, she's around your age, also does kind of what you do. I think you guys would get along. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush.
A terrible blind date.
Yeah. And then we just happened to be at their husbands, our mutual friends. And we went to our friend's husband's birthday party. It was bowling. And we ended up next to each other and like totally hit it off, not even realizing that this was what our friend was talking about. And then we literally from that day on, we were like the best of friends. It's like, I was like, maybe she's right. It's funny how that happened.
It is.
Karen who?
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're like, hey, what's her name again? No, just kidding.
It's great that you two do have that great connection, because it does show in the episode. And you know, like he was saying, it was the chemistry between you two. It comes out, but PJ really brings it out in the filmmaking, the shots that he gets on you guys. There's a lot of the, tongue-in-cheek comedy and stuff. But what I wanted to know was that y'all's last name's picked because it's for the people. Is that okay?
Yeah, you got it.
Nice.
We're such nerds. I freaking love it.
Oh yeah. I'm 51 years old, but I am the king geek. I've got tattoos of geeky stuff and
Love it.
all this crap behind me. I always do it opposite.
I'm a huge superhero kind of a fan stuff, and so like there's that element in this also that you see later on, like in the 6th episode, and then in the 2nd season there's more of that. It's just like, I think it's just such a great mishmash of like all those superhero vigilante comic book, badass girls, female empowerment, and then like heart and pet peeves. I mean, there's a lot. It's a lot there.
Well, and we love the independent filmmakers here. This is something that we strive to get these type of interviews. We're actually doing a whole virtual convention in July. It's called Independence Con. It's for all independent indies. And so that's something I'd love to talk to you guys about. It's the week after Independence Day. But and that's one reason that one thing that we're seeing, is that, of course, so many projects are put on hold because of the current, what we call the worldwide pause. Several shows that we're excited about that are paused, and they don't know when they're going to be able to start production again. Now, we know that the pilot comes out next Wednesday, and it's on petpeevepolice.com. When are the other episodes going to drop? Or is there a set schedule, or because I know that there's only several episodes or so many episodes done right now, and still have to get the others going. What is the plan for us fans that want to see more? Anybody?
We're like, who's gonna jump in?
We all jump in at once.
We haven't really talked about that, Sarah, PJ. I think being that we only have 3 finished and everything that's going on, I think maybe it'll be 1 every month, but we haven't exactly decided, but that's probably what we're leaning towards. And then that'll maybe give us some time to, ultimately our goal is to be able to pitch this and hopefully get it fully made and into a series with multiple seasons, whether it's on streaming networks or something like, Adult Swim or, TBS, something that's like in our vein, our comedy like.
Right.
In worst case scenario, we'll finish it ourselves. But we just got to see what happens if we can get some meetings, get some interest, get it developed further, or if it's going to be us doing it. But I think, without speaking for everybody else, our previous conversations, that it is important to us, and we spend a lot of time on it, and we really think that there's something there, and we want to share it with the world, and we'll figure out a way how.
Well, I have to say, like I said earlier, we've seen a lot of shows, met a lot of directors and writers on Amazon Prime, on Netflix, and various other platforms. You guys are the first ones that we've talked to that are solely on the internet and have had this long process going this way. And I have to say that the quality of this and the writing, the humor and stuff, you guys have to get a deal. Thank
you.
There's no two ways about it. Yeah, especially, because networks, once the networks do get unpaused, it's still going to be a while before we get new material, and everything's got to get back into production. And then, what are we going to do about these type of things? Is everybody going to get their temperature checked every day before we do, the same on camera shoots? And then, as we've learned, even getting your temperature checked and tested every day doesn't do any good, because you can test positive the next day. So everything's still up in the air. What I know, you guys, I can't remember who, but I know that there was one of you had a project that was on the back burner, a solo project. What has the worldwide pause done to those plans outside of the Pet Peeve Police? And PJ, we'll start with you real quick.
Yeah, I have a production company that I started with 2 of my friends that were one of the producing entities for Pet Peeve Police. And, we had a feature that was about 75% funded that we were just sort of getting, rolling the gears on, trying to get it ready to shoot, that we can't do anything with right now. We're also my partners and I were on another show that was in production, and we were only 2 weeks into it and it stopped. And so we're sort of waiting. We get update emails from the production, and it's just like they don't know when anything is going to happen. When it's just sort of like, hey, we're still here. We're still trying to figure out what's going to happen and how production is going to move forward. But yeah, it's been interesting because like a lot of the people that I know, they're not working. They're home. Some people have had the opportunity to like jump into what's, I guess now the Zoom recordings and those kinds of things like that. That has sort of opened up a new avenue of like work, but at the same time, not everyone has that capability of doing that. And so that's the most I've seen of like any real production where it's like, okay, we're going to get 20 people into a Zoom call and then, cut that together and throw that somewhere. But in terms of actually trying to shoot stuff, it's sort of, nobody knows what's going to happen. Right now, I've been actually in the process of just sort of sharpening my animation skills because I'm going to start. I at least want to start making something, getting that creative itch where I'm just like, I can't just sit home all the time. And I write with the goal of trying to make that. And so if I can't make anything in production, I'm going to try to just do something animated maybe, or try to figure out a new avenue for my company to be able to make some sort of money so that we don't go under and stuff like that. So
yeah,
a lot of folks are having to adapt, adapt or die. And from the little mom and pop stores to the big comic book shops that, couldn't allow people in anymore. And then of course, writers and directors, all sorts of people we've talked to. We actually have an interview coming up this weekend of some filmmakers who did make a film completely under quarantine conditions. And we're supposed to watch the screener for it this weekend, and I'm interested to see what they did. But Melissa, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sarah and I, we shot a Zoom video for the Peeve Police about in character quarantine pet peeves. So we were trying to be creative and do stuff, and then we had some other ideas, but we both of us were like, I think we're gonna have to shoot that like on our own time as but real, pet peeves that are going on. It's like stuff that we can shoot in our house, outside our door, like whatever we can do. We have to talk about that further because that's exactly right. It's like, how can we be creative? And I mean, as actors, I've gotten some, self-tape challenges, monologue challenges. I write your own monologue. I've had some auditions that I had to self-tape, or I have to Skype. A friend has to Skype in to be the other person because I need somebody to be the reader. I mean, it's interesting. I actually, right before this happened, I did a series for Refinery 29 for YouTube that was about taxes. My side hustle is taxes, and I work for a company that specializes in the entertainment industry, and they actually had me do another video about quarantine and the stimulus check at home. So that it was interesting that I was like, wow, talk about marrying my two worlds.
Right.
But to actually have me do another video at home, and we had to set everything up, and that was very interesting, figuring out how to navigate Zoom and people being on and hold on, can we have you do that again? Because when Sarah froze, and it's just it's been a lot to learn, I guess, even. But I like to think of a positive, too. It's all skills that I didn't have before, and I use them to our benefit and grow from it, I guess,
I think our society is definitely going through its own renaissance period. And, from great, illness, from great tragedy comes great art. So this, as artists, is our time to really shine. For me, like I mentioned earlier, the past 2 months have been filled with a different life change, like becoming a parent. And so to become a parent during quarantine has had its own set of challenges. But the great thing is that for me is I had kind of a lot of my projects that I was working on before I had my baby, and other than Peeve Police, was I have a feature that I'm going to be directing that I need to do another rewrite or so. And it got some recognition. So just kind of going back to that, rewriting, I have a comedic memoir that I want to write based on my journey through pregnancy and fertility, and and some of the issues that I had, because I find that there's a real audience for that. And because filmmaking has kind of had a pause because we don't know how to do it safely at the moment with COVID, literature is on the rise. So it's actually, for me, as a writer, it's been really great too, because I was like, oh, well, I can't really go anywhere anyway because I have a baby right now. So, and the world is ending. So, but I can write. So that's kind of, I mean, I think PJ said it perfect earlier when he said, I kind of eat, sleep, breathe filmmaking. I've kind of have been that way since I was a child. I was like, okay, I want to be this. I want to perform. I want to, I've always been obsessed with it. So that is, everything is a means to an end to create for me.
We'll be back right after this.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
And when we had our first virtual con back in April, one of our guests brought up that exact same thing you just said, Sarah, that during this time, this is when the artists, the creators, the talented ones shine, especially the independents, because we're not dependent on the big studios. Even Marvel and DC shut down. They weren't doing comic books during all of this time, which killed the comic book stores. Who stepped up? The independent comics. They're still getting their readers. They're building up their readers. Some of them had killer Kickstarter campaigns during this whole thing because they were still there trying to bring entertainment. And we've all discussed that if you come out of this lockdown and you haven't created something, then it's on you. It's you saying that,
or a new hobby or something.
Right. Yeah, because all this. Well, I don't have time. I never have time. Well, for the last couple of months, you've had time, and so if you haven't been creative, this is on you. Now, I don't want to reveal too much about the Pet Peeve Police season, but a sensei is mentioned a couple of times in the pilot. And from what I read on those insider notes that Sarah provided me, there's a mysterious mentor and secrets from your past and all sorts of mysterious stuff that's coming this season. So I just got to know, are you guys Ninja Turtles?
I mean,
green does look good on me, but
me too.
I mentioned that in the pilot, we are the
Ninja Turtles.
Exactly. I love that, by the way. I love that line. And but I like unique storylines. I say this all the time when we have guests on here, and I like unique takes on stuff and tongue-in-cheek humor. And even some of the stuff that's so stupid it's funny can be entertaining. But this isn't along that lines. It's not the whole so stupid part, and it is entertaining. You guys, the chemistry on there, I really do hope that we see a lot more of it. And if for some reason you guys aren't picked up and y'all are looking to do funding for the other seasons, make sure you let us know so that we can help link over to that stuff to try to get you all the exposure that we can. Like I said, we love the independents. We definitely want to keep in touch so that we can have you all back at some point during the Independence Con. So because that's a live show, it's going to go on for 6 days. We'll have people in panels where we have actors from different shows and directors. We might have a panel of just directors, and we go around asking questions. Meredith and I got to work out the details really soon, but you can watch independencecon.com. It's NDINDIE. But I'll keep in touch via email as well. But folks, if you hadn't already done so, check out the petpeevepolice.com. The pilot episode is dropping on the 20th, May 20th. I've checked it out because I'm a Geek Insider and we get that kind of cool stuff. But I wanted to go back around. God, and I just almost did it. I almost made a whole show, Meredith, without losing my train of thought. Melissa, where can people follow you? I know we've got the information. We're going to have it scrolling on through all this, but tell everybody where they can find you and all that good stuff. And then
we're just going to go around the
Yep, exactly.
Sure, yeah. I am on Twitter at Melissa Graver, and I am on Instagram at I am Gravy. I-am-Gravey.
Very nice.
Sassy.
It's a play on my last name, but people are like, "Oh, you know, like it's all gravy, baby." My friends used to say that to me, so I was like, "That's a fun Instagram name."
That's awesome. Easy to remember.
Yeah.
Well,
Sarah,
mine is
how
just
about
my
you?
name. Mine's just my name at Sarah Delpizzo on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Basically, just if you Google my name, you'll find it.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's at PJ Germain for pretty much Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you do Google my name, some guy in Florida who's a landscaper comes up first. So, so there's that. Trying to get on the top of the Google search. But,
I'm in Florida. I'll take care of them.
All right, now we've got to do one thing that we do with every one of our guests. And PJ, I'm going to start with you. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a good question. You know, I think I would tell myself that, you know, not to stress out, that like the world works itself out, and like not to worry too much and just have fun, live life. Because I think I spent a lot of time just worrying about work and working and trying to be the best that I could be, that I maybe have overlooked some of the things that I could have enjoyed. And, you know, I think that's what I would tell myself.
Sarah, how about you, ma'am?
Similar to PJ, you can't control the future, but you can control how you react. So, you know, you never know what's going to be thrown at you. Like Alexa going off right now. Alexa, timer off. But you know, you never know, like a worldwide pandemic is happening, but you can, you know, be responsible for how you react and what you do with what's thrown at you. So make the most of whatever gets thrown at you, and don't worry. Everything will work out.
Fantastic. All right, Melissa, how about you, man?
I'd say, like as an actor, if I knew then what I know now, I never would have gone from one large market to another. I would have gone to a smaller market, been a bigger fish into a smaller fish pond. And kind of on that, it was, I took things really seriously. Another reason why it took me to become a filmmaker for so long, because I didn't go to film school. I have a degree in psychology, theater minor, and then I did a 2-year conservatory for acting after the fact. But I was like, my dream wasn't to be a filmmaker, was to act. But through time and evolution, I realized I don't just want to be an actor. I want to do all those other things. And I kind of like wish that I just started doing it sooner, because whatever I do, I want to do it justice to it. And I took that a little, I think, too seriously, because you learn by doing, especially in the entertainment industry. Like that's how I got my film school education, was being on sets and big sets and asking questions and paying attention. And I would have told myself to just start doing it sooner and don't worry about doing it right. There is no right. So yeah, just start creating. Don't let yourself get in the way, and just kick ass and take names.
Very nice. Very nice. Meredith, did you have any last things that you wanted to say?
That was it. You know, in this great pause, I know a lot of people who are kind of feeling sorry for themselves, and they're feeling down, and, you know, they wake up in the middle of the night, you know, they're growing into their couch, basically. You know, they've got the potato chip bag and the crumbs on their shirt, and, you know, they've got the TV going all night and everything. And then, you know, we meet the people, I think, that we need to, especially if we're hungry enough, so that collaborations like yours and working together and lifting each other up, I think, is just really refreshing. So I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story and spending the time with us to talk about Pet Peeve Police. And, you know, it's it's fun and it's light, and I think it's timely. It's the thing that we need now. And I want to thank you personally, because the things that I saw from the pilot are the things that I've always wanted to do, and it's in my head. So I'm living vicariously through you guys. So I want to thank you for that too.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a lot. That was our goal, basically. Yeah.
And Melissa, is there anything, final words you want to say to the fans, or about the Pet Peeve Police or anything? And we'll just do one last quick round robin, and then y'all don't go anywhere. We'll end the recording, and then we'll talk some more.
Sarah and I always like to say the Pet Peeve Police are always watching. So be good.
That's what Meredith is always telling me, though. She's doing it in the back room, in the green room, and she's sitting there telling me when I'm talking about it. She's always doing that.
No, we're excited for the future. We're excited for the Pet Peeve Police and what it's going to become, and to share it with all of you. And if you've got pet peeves, let us know on social media. We're also on that's also, the Pet Peeve Police. It's Pet Peeve Police on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And maybe we can make some videos based on your pet peeves during this time. I don't know.
Very cool.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Miss Sarah?
Anybody else?
Just do good, be good. Remember, we're all in this together. So don't be too hard on yourselves at this time. And we hope that we can bring you some joy and put a smile on your face and during a really trying time. So, keep an eye on us, and we'll do our best to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mr. PJ?
Echoing on what Sarah just said, we worked really hard to make something that would be entertaining and that people would enjoy and see themselves in, which is like one of the big things that drew me into the project, was that I saw myself in everything that happened. And a lot of the show is about friendship. And I think right now, more than anything, is keeping your friendships together. We can't see each other all the time, but we can at least reach out. We can, see how a friend is doing. We can hop on the game. I happen to do weekly D&D games with my friends online. So It's been something that I actually never played Dungeons and Dragons before until recently. And so now it's a way for me to keep in touch with my friends and just, but yeah, just stay good to each other.
Very nice. Well, thank you all again for taking time out of your day and introducing our audience to the Pet Peeve Police. I know they're going to enjoy it. I'm looking forward to, I'll be watching for the upcoming episodes. And everybody, make sure you check out petpeevepolice.com next Wednesday to check out the pilot episode. Spread it out on social media. Let your friends know. These ladies and PJ have put in a lot of work on this. Spread it on social media, everybody. Let all your friends know that the Pet Peeve Police are always watching. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Geek Speak, a Geek Insider production powered by NSC Live TV. Become part of our show with sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For details, contact advertising@geekinsider.com or visit podcast.geekinsider.com. The Geek Insider podcast is available on your favorite app, so please hit the follow button and share it out to your friends. Because if you don't, you might have to turn in your geek card.